Hello everyone, my name is Zhao Kecheng. Today, my topic of presentation is Cognitive Theory of Multimedia Learning (CTML) and its application in educational video. Here is the content of this presentation. I will start by exploring the learning objectives in the CTML model, and then I will compare CTML with CLT theory. Next, I will discuss the components of cognitive theory of multimedia learning, and then application of CTML in educational video. Besides benefits of using CTML in education and case studies, successful applications of CTML in education. The first chapter, Learning Objectives in CTML Model. What is the cognitive theory of multimedia learning? Definition and core principles. Cognitive theory of multimedia learning is a theory that explains how people learn from multimedia presentations. It emphasizes the use of both visual and auditory information to enhance learning. According to CTML, learning is most effective when words and graphics are combined in a meaningful way that supports the construction of knowledge. The importance in educational content. In educational settings, CTML provides a framework for creating instructional materials that can cater to diverse learning styles and improve learning outcomes. By utilizing both visual and auditory information, educators can help students better understand complex concepts and retain information more effectively. So the author of CTML model is Richard E. Mayer. He is a renowned American educational physiologist focused on multimedia resources to enhance learning outcomes. In addition, Mayer developed the cognitive theory of multimedia learning (CTML) and emphasizes the integration of visual and auditory information during learning for effective multimedia design. And the CTML model has been widely applied in K-12 education and higher education. Besides provided theoretical support for online courses and educational technology development. So what's the key elements of CTML? The first is dual channels of processing. CTML posits that learners process information through two channels, one for verbal, language-based information, and another for visual, image-based information. This dual-channel architecture is fundamental to the theory that helps explain why multimedia presentations can be more effective than text-based materials alone. And active learning and cognitive load. Another crucial aspect of CTML is the emphasis on active learning and management of cognitive load. Educators must design multimedia materials that not only present information but also engage students in active processing, minimizing extraneous cognitive load and promoting meaningful learning. And the theoretical foundation of CRT, which is closely related to CTML. Cognition load theory posits that there is a limit to the amount of information that can be processed by working memory at one time. CTML builds up on this theory by suggests that multimedia presentations can be designed to manage cognitive load effectively, thereby facilitating learning. The author of cognitive load theory is John Swaller. He is a renowned Australian educational physiologist and developed the cognitive load theory in the 1980s, focused on designing instructional materials to reduce cognitive load during learning, and it provides valuable guidance for instructional design, aiming to enhance learning effectiveness. So the cognitive load theory, it has intrinsic load, extraneous load, and German load. So the first is limited working memory, and the second is multiple sources of load. Let's watch the types of cognitive load. The first is intrinsic load. The cognitive effort required to process inherent complexity of the learning text. We can watch an example, watching an educational video explaining a complex physics concept like Newton's laws of motion with relevant visuals. And the second is extraneous load, the cognitive effect caused by poorly designed multimedia materials or irrelevant elements. A learning video with distracting background music and excessive animations. And the third is German load, the cognitive effect devoted to understanding and integrating knowledge effectively. An interactive multimedia module is designed for learners to organize information using drag and drop features to reinforce learning. And another is strategies to manage intrinsic load, extraneous load, and German cognitive load. So the first is intrinsic load. It can provide scaffold learning and organize the text in order and trunk information. The second is extraneous load. So the implement strategies with eliminate distractions, coherence, and redundancy principle, and spatial integration. The last is German load. They can implement strategies with encourage active learning, provide worked examples, feedback, and promote collaboration. So the chapter 2 compare of CTML and CLT model. The similarities of CTML and CLT. The shared theoretical foundation. Both theories are grounded in cognitive physiology, focusing on the human cognitive system, including information processing and the role of long-term memory. Shared goal. Both aim to enhance learning efficiency and effectiveness, enabling learners to build and retain knowledge more effectively. The last is support for active learning. Both highlight the need for learners to actively process information through section, organization, and integration to achieve deeper understanding. And what's more important is the differences of CTML and CLT. The first is core focus. The cognitive theory of multimedia learning focuses on the cognitive processes in multimedia learning, explaining how learners construct knowledge from multimedia materials. But cognitive load theory focuses on cognitive resource allocation and load, studying how to optimize learning by reducing unnecessary cognitive load. And the theoretical framework for CTML. It has dual channel assumption and active learning and cognitive load. But CLT has intrinsic load, extraneous load, and German load. The last is application. For CTML, primarily applied in multimedia instructional design, aiming to optimize multimedia content for more effective learning. But for CLT, applied in general educational design, aiming to minimize unnecessary cognitive load. And the relationship between CTML and the CLT. The first is core focus. CTML focuses on specific scenarios, while CLT offers a broader framework for managing cognitive load and underlying assumptions. Both share the foundation of limited working memory capacity and emphasize reducing overload for better learning. Another is role in learning process. CTML operationalizes CLT by applying cognitive load management strategies in multimedia-based learning environments. The finally is goal. Both aim to improve learning outcomes through effective instructional design. The chapter 3, components of cognitive theory of multimedia learning. So the types of multimedia elements is about visual elements and auditory elements. Visual elements such as diagrams, graphs, and pictures are integral to CTML. These elements help to convey complex information in a more digestible format, making it easier for learners to understand and remember the content. And the auditory elements, including spoken words and sound effects, also play a significant role in CTML. These elements can provide additional content and enhance the learning experience by engaging the learner's auditory senses. The principles of effective multimedia design. The multimedia principle states that people learn more deeply from words and pictures than from words alone. This is because combining verbal and visual information engages both channels of the cognitive system, leading to better understanding and retention. The theoretical foundation for this principle lies in the dual-channel architecture for the human mind, as explained by CTML. Another is balancing text and images in multimedia design. A crucial aspect of effective multimedia design is balancing text and images. The use of too much text can lead to cognitive overload, while too many images without accompanying text may fail to provide necessary context. And the contiguity principle. The effects of spatial contiguity on learning outcomes. The spatial contiguity principle suggests that people can learn better when corresponding verbal and visual elements are presented close to each other in space. And second is example of the application of the principle of spatial contiguity. For example, when presenting a graph, educators should ensure that the corresponding explanation is located near the graph. This helps students relate the verbal explanation to the visual presentation. And temporal contiguity principle. The role of temporal contiguity in multimedia learning. So this principle is similar to the spatial contiguity principle, but is focused on the timing of the presentation of verbal and visual elements. According to this principle, people can learn better when corresponding verbal and visual elements are presented it so similar. This reduces the cognitive load associated with holding information in working memory and helps learners form connections more easily. And the practical application of the principle of temporal proximity. Educators can apply the temporal contiguity principle by designing multimedia presentations that synchronize the delivery of verbal and visual information. The chapter 4, application of CTML in educational video. Designing educational videos based on CTML. The first is integrating video and verbal information. To design educational videos in line with CTML, educators must carefully integrate visual and verbal information. This involves selecting appropriate images and videos that complement the spoken or written words. The second is minimizing cognitive load. Educators should aim to minimize cognitive load by avoiding unnecessary elements that do not contribute to the learning objectives. And the effective strategies for using educational videos. Trunking information. One effective strategy is to chunk information into manageable segments that help learners process by retain information more effectively. And the second is promoting active learning. Educators can also promote active learning by incorporating interactive elements into their educational videos. And evaluating the effectiveness of educational videos. The first is assessing learning outcomes. It's crucial to evaluate the effectiveness of educational videos in promoting learning. Educators can assess learning outcomes through quiz, exam, or other form of assignment. The second is gathering student feedback. Gathering feedback is another valuable method for evaluating the effectiveness of educational videos. The chapter 5, benefits of using CTML in education. So the first is enhanced learning outcomes. One of the primary benefits of using CTML in education is the potential for enhanced learning outcomes. By engaging both visual and verbal channels, students can form more comprehensive mental models of the content. And another is catering to diverse learning styles. CTML also caters to diverse learning styles, accommodating both visual and verbal learners. This inclusive approach to instruction can help educators reach a wide range of educators. This inclusive approach to instruction can help educators reach a wide range of students. Addressing challenge and maximizing benefits. So the professional development for educators of implementing CTML, educators need ongoing professional development that can help them acquire the necessary skills and knowledge. Continuous application and improvement. Continuous evaluation and improvement are also essential for maximizing the benefits of CTML in education. Educators should regularly assess the effectiveness of their multimedia materials and make adjustments based on feedback. The chapter 6, case studies, successful applications of CTML in education. Case study 1, science education. So we can watch the example of CTML in a science lesson. In a science lesson on the water cycle, a teacher might use a multimedia presentation that includes animations, show the processes of evaporation, as well as interactive diagrams that allow students to explore each stage in style. This method applies cognitive theory of multimedia learning to enable students to visualize and interact with abstract scientific concepts and it can helps to enhance scientific understanding. By integrating CTML principles into science education, teachers can create an engaging and immersive learning experiences. The use of multimedia elements help simplify complex topics, making them more accessible and easier to grasp. Let's watch another case study, language learning. So in language learning, the cognitive theory of multimedia learning can be effectively applied through multimedia materials that integrate visual and auditory elements. For example, a language lesson may include a video showing real-life scenarios such as ordering food in a restaurant or asking for directions in a foreign city. This video may be accompanied by subtitle or visual cues highlighting key vocabulary and some important phrases. So it can help to advance language acquisition through multimedia. Incorporating CTML into language teaching provides a dynamic learning environment that greatly facilitates the learning of the new language. Visual aids such as images and animations help to understand the meaning of words and phrases, reducing reliance on translation and promoting a more intuitive grasp of the language. So, by promoting multimedia lessons that can be adapted to meet the needs of different learning styles, students are able to acquire vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation skills more effectively. So, this can also increase their motivation and confidence. In conclusion, CTML provides a robust framework for designing educational materials that engage both visual and verbal channels. By applying its principles, educators can create multimedia presentations that improve learning outcomes. However, continuous research is essential to explore emerging technologies such as virtual and augmented reality, which can offer even more immersive learning experiences. Moreover, we must ensure that equitable access to these resources so that all students, regardless of their background, can benefit. Thank you.